And we are live. Hey, everybody. How are you? I hope you've had a beautiful week so far. I know I have. But welcome to Into the Core podcast with myself, Linda. And I'm really excited today. We're going to be talking about wine. Oh my gosh, I love wine. Before I introduce my guest, I am, as always, going to have to do our intro. So here we go. Into the core.
Get into it.
All good things in Africa and beyond. Into the core.
Into the core.
Into the core.
Into the core.
Into the core. All good things in Africa and beyond. And she's definitely one of the greatest things that is happening right now in Africa and beyond. Her name is Wanjiru. Welcome. How are you doing?
Thank you so much, Linda. First, maybe we should clear that we're not related, even though we share a surname.
I know. Yours is with the E, mine's without the E.
Okay, yeah. So that should clear things up. Yes. Good afternoon, everybody,
Yes.
or whatever time it is where you're watching from. It's great to be here with you, Linda. Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're most welcome. So I love my wines, and I think one of the best experiences that I had was a beautiful party that there was a wine tasting that I got invited to by your cousin, my friend. And what a beautiful experience. I know you weren't there, but your the experience, the ladies that were with you were absolutely phenomenal. And I have to say, so this was probably the first wine tasting that I've sat through, listening to what they were
really?
saying, because it was interesting. Anyway, well done. Yes,
Thank
and it
you.
was exquisite, and we learned stuff, and we've been using what we've learned.
That is what we need
I
to
wanna
hear.
ask,
That
how
is
did
what
you
we're
get
so
into
happy.
Oh, gotcha.
Sorry.
How did you get into being a sommelier? I mean, like, what was that experience like for you?
Okay. So this is a crazy story because I guess, of course, I was not born into wine. I'm from Kirinyaga, and Kirinyaga only has tea and coffee sort of as the key things that we drink. So I do love my tea and coffee anyway. But then in terms of wine, it has been my alcohol of choice for a long time. I was privileged to be living in South Africa, where I guess there's so much wine at so many different prices with so much variety that I was just a consumer because, you go buy your milk and bread, sort of fruit, eggs, you grab a bottle. So I wasn't very keen on learning about the different types. I knew what I wanted and I knew how to get it when I wanted it. But now when you removed from what you're used to, I think is when now you get a lot more interested. So in 2012, I moved back to Kenya. And I keep saying, and of course, at that point, I was doing business and I was working for the government of South Africa. So I was a civil servant and I was doing business. Very, very far from whatever we do now in terms of the tourism and hospitality sector.
Yeah.
When you come back home and everywhere you go, you cannot get what you want, then it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
So I say around that time, buying wine in Kenya, for me, was akin to applying for a tender. Because you had to think of, okay, where am I going to go that I'm going to find wine? I'm going to find it in a price that I can afford, and they're going to have what they say they have on the list. So there was very few places you could go for that. So because I was still traveling back and forth to South Africa, because I was still trying to close up some things, then every time I would go, I would bring my own sort of private stash to enjoy until my next trip. And with time, of course, my friends got to know about it. Therefore, they would come and the stash that was supposed to last, say, 3 months was depleted in a few minutes. Then I realized that we have to do something about it. So they partly urged me, and then, of course, me trying to solve my non-wine available problem was then to see how I can get into this commercially. It's a viable opportunity and stuff like that. So then I thought, the little I know about wine is really for consumption. If I'm going to stand somewhere and tell someone, this is what you buy, then I need to understand a little bit more. So I looked for courses that were available to learn more about wine, and literally basically went back to school. So the first course I did was with University of Cape Town, and it was like a postgraduate diploma, what they call the business of wine management. And that was really great because it then was showing about wine from a business point of view. What kind of business can you involve in production? If you're the farmer or the winemaker, you can be an importer or distributor. You can own a retail space, you can own your own wine brand and stuff like that. But as much as that was great, I still felt that it didn't give me sort of the worldview. So then I found another organization, the Wines and Spirits Education Trust, that now provides information, education about all the wine in the world. And that is another course I did. By that time, it had been clear to me that perhaps I am more suited to be an educator and a consultant as opposed to an importer. For various reasons, in terms of the requirements, the regulation, and again, things you enjoy. So that was kind of my journey, which began in 2013 until I guess we held our first event in 2015.
That's amazing. I mean, and how, I mean, were you scared, like even, the moment that you get out there and, you're explaining to people about the wines. I mean, like now you've become the expert, was it a little bit, I don't know, like nerve-wracking, having your first clients call you in and book a session with you?
Okay, so of course, like any new thing, first I was coming back home after being away for 12 years. So you think you know how to run business in Kenya because, you come for holiday and you stay a few weeks. You think you understand the business environment. So very soon I realized that I knew nothing about doing business in Kenya. And that was part of the biggest hurdle. I think that would apply to anybody in any business. But then now coming from now being the expert, of course, like I said, I am new in wine. So there was, of course, importers in the country who knew more than I would ever know. There was people who had been in this business for a long time. So say there's a family that has been importers, say from the 80s, and now you have to work with them, or you have to, in a sense, compete with them in this space. I was lucky, though, in a sense, because one of the opportunities I got for work came right from my classroom. So I met the Africa market manager for Wines of South Africa, which is the wine marketing organization in South Africa. So think about Kenya Tourism Board and what they do for us out in the world. In essence, then that is what Wines of South Africa does. They promote South African wine across. Of course, importers then form relationships with the producers. So say a brand like Niederberg, of course, they have sort of their appointed importer here and stuff like that. So, of course, after class, I go talk to him. Oh, yeah, I'm from Kenya. And he's like, well, we haven't really done anything in Kenya. And I'm like, why? No, we go to Uganda. And I have nothing against Uganda, but I was like, Kenya's market size as opposed to Uganda's market size. And in essence, then we had a conversation about, so what can we do? But also remember, that was Westgate bomb blast had happened in 2013.
Yeah.
And this is around the time I'm trying to get into the business and tell people, of course you can come to Kenya. Why not come to Kenya? And they actually sort of mentioned the Westgate thing, which of course has nothing to do with, in essence, the little business that you're trying to run, but the perception of the country. Of course, that's one of the first things people talk about.
Yeah.
So he tells me, we're doing something in Uganda in 2014. You come for the event, then send us a proposal. So of course I went to Uganda and saw what they were doing. Then I came back and sort of now figured out if we were to do something similar in Kenya, what would we take?
Yeah.
And we sent a proposal. And they took very long to get back to us. So in a sense, I was like, oh, well, that door has closed. You're still looking for other opportunities.
Yeah.
And then there was this big wine show in South Africa in 2015. And I get a call around September and they say, we want you to come to South Africa for the wine show. And of course, then talk a bit more about the concept you presented. And then we will have the Kenya event in November. Right?
Wow.
So, okay, start planning for November. So where will you have the event? Who do you invite? Because it's supposed to be a trade and media event. And all that. Yeah. So of course you have the experience. Okay, I think my experience from my other work life, and of course being a local, you work through the barriers. So I went into partnership with someone
Right.
who was big in events, and of course then I started sending out communication to the people in the industry, and of course including organizations like South African Airways, the South African High Commission, because of course they were a big part of what the event should be. And some of the feedback my client got, for example, during the planning process is that is this person claiming to be representing your organization? Because remember, nobody knew me. I was not in the industry.
Wow.
I am now, like they say, claiming to have been appointed to be running this. So he had to do a lot of reassurance, like, yes, she's our appointed person. Thank goodness the High Commission knew what we were doing. South African Airways is credible. So maybe riding on those organizations then helped give me credibility because in essence, nobody knew about me. So that was mainly a coordinating event that was more business to business. So there was not necessarily saying this is wine, this is how you drink it. But it still sort of launched me now as a force to be in the industry because now people knew, okay, if I want to do anything about wines in South Africa, then this is the person to go to. And luckily, the event was really successful, of course, thanks to the partnerships we had in place. So from 2015, then, we've been doing work for them, which has involved, of course, hosting such events and also recruiting people to get training.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love training is a big part of our business. People have been working in hospitality, and in some extreme cases, people will tell you, I have never tasted what I sell. Like, I look at the label, and I read what's there, and I repeat it to the customer. And I'm like, okay, at least you're doing something, and hopefully if you just regurgitate that information, you're a step ahead than trying to make it up, but then you need to understand. So part of the reason is, of course, watching videos, tasting the product, and getting through a process where you can ask those questions, however silly, like, in a safe space. And we've had those trainings every year again from 2015, and we target people working in restaurants, people working in supermarkets, people working in importers or retailers and the like, to give them the confidence to be able to sell the wine. Otherwise, you'll be getting disappointed everywhere you go.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of the things, like when you go to a restaurant and you say, what wines do you have? The worst part in some restaurants is tukona sweet na dry, and you're like, wow, okay.
I call that the matrix answer, the matrix, right? It's 4 choices, sweet or dry, then red or white, full stop. and every time I go somewhere, I'm like, we have to forget the matrix. Like, forget the matrix, right? So call something by name. I don't want to come to you. I don't want to come to you and interact with you, and then someone asks you, who was that lady? Oh, it's just a lady, or it's just that wine girl. I hope you'll be able to describe me in a way that I'll be able to understand. So that the training was very, very key. There was also, of course, the PR aspect of South Africa. Of course, is a wine region. It's competing in this market with other regions. And for example, when we do the professional courses, like I spoke about, to the Wine Spirits and Education Trust kind of courses, we don't just work with South African wine. We have to get wine from all suppliers and continue. So people then have to understand wine from the different countries, how it is different, and what's great or not great about the different brands as well. So of course, for the most part, unfortunately, once people start importing, they don't necessarily import the best. Right? So for a long time, perhaps what was available as wine from different places was not the best kind of wine. So that already then gives you bad PR from either brand specifics or even country specific point of view. People are like, me, I don't drink those wines because they are XYZ. And for
Yeah.
example, even the wine that's made in Kenya, there's once I had an
Yeah.
event for an international tourism, it was an international tourism event. And they, of course, had
Yeah.
given me sort of some leeway of what to bring in terms of curating a wine
Yeah.
list. And I specifically put in the Kenyan brand. And I can tell you, they were
Wow.
very surprised, or people learned later that this is that Kenyan brand, Letra. And because, again, they've never tasted it or had this impression about what it would taste like. So you're here telling people, the Letra Sauvignon Blanc is one of the best. I mean, it has been peer reviewed. It has won awards. It's something really like good to drink. And they were surprised. And the lady actually called me twice. Are you sure you gave us Kenyan wine? Like we drank it and enjoyed it. And I'm like, people, this is why we need to explore and taste. And maybe sometimes even better when you brought something that you don't normally take. And I guess that's the beauty with wine. There's so much to discover. There's so much diversity.
Yeah.
So training is very important because when people training and they have the confidence to sell, if we sell you better, then
Yeah.
you enjoy the wine experience even more.
Yeah.
You enjoy the wine experience even more. Sure.
I
Sorry.
do have. How
Let
do you
me-
train? How do
How
you
do you
train
train?
your palate? How do you train your palate? Yeah.
First, using such big words. What is a palate, right? So, first, palate is
Oh yeah.
taste.
Yes.
My point of view is you don't need to train it.
Really? Like
That's
to
my
get
point
me
of
to.
view. You do not
Okay.
need to train it. Okay, so
Okay. Yeah.
you're a person with preferences, right? You're a person with preferences.
Yeah.
If I ask you why you have that hairstyle, you'll tell me because of X, Y, Z. And if
Yeah.
I ask you what brand of yogurt you like, you'll tell me I like this because of what you feel. The same with wine.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
do you enjoy drinking? First and foremost, whatever you like. Even if it's a sweet wine people enjoy drinking, you have your preference, right? So let's have
Right.
that as a basis, right? Is what I like.
Yeah.
Okay. Secondly, believe it or not, you do have genetic taste differences. So there's actually some substance we use. There's some testing strips we use during class, and you just ask to put that in your mouth, and when it gets bitter, then pour it out. So we're testing your sensitivity to different tastes. So some people are really sensitive. Some people will put on the strip for 1 minute, they'll spit it
Yeah.
out. Other guys
Yeah.
have the strip on for longer. So, for example, you might find that a person who is very sensitive prefers things like they take tea, sort of herbal tea, and the person who has a stronger preference for taste takes like espresso in terms of coffee. They like strong, more complex flavors. So even genetically speaking, we have a preference. So think about children. You have a son, right?
Yes.
When you started, the natural thing to do was breastfeed, right? And think about
Yep.
what food is. What food is to humans. It's supposed to be anything you put in your mouth for your sustenance. You're supposed to be able to swallow it, right? Whatever you want to spit out is supposed to be poisonous because it's a survival mechanism. So
Yeah.
breast milk is sweeter than normal milk, for example.
Yeah.
It has to be that because you want the person to swallow. When we start weaning, we don't wean with espresso, we wean with sweet things, mashed bananas,
Yeah.
fruits, cocoa and stuff, because sweetness makes things palatable.
Yeah.
And then, of course, as we get older now, we start trying chili, we start trying sushi, oysters, we start trying, very hot sauces. And then we still, so in essence, then, maybe that's the question. With time, then you understand your preference. So my palate is X. Give me
Yeah.
a delicate wine all the time because I like delicate foods. I don't like strong flavors. I will never swallow matumbo. Someone else is like, bring on the matumbo and mutura with something
Right.
heavy because that's what I love, right? So we
Yeah.
have to be cognizant of this. And honestly speaking, sometimes I say, let's not fluff things and don't just be sipping something because it's supposed to be elegant or it's sophisticated. What
Yeah.
do you want to do? So what's
Yeah.
your favorite wine, for example? I don't know.
I think I discovered.
What does your palate like?
I know. I discovered my favorite from your wine tasting. I mean, like I'm still thinking about it. I really loved One Man Band. I mean, I love that it had like a smoky flavor, like La Fog, it it had a beautiful bold taste to it. It wasn't and very smooth. So that was for me. So I do so and then sometimes it's different, right? So I have
Sure.
so I have
So,
days
so you like that
I feel like
particular wine? Yeah. So let's talk about that particular wine, for example,
yeah.
right? So it's a red wine and it's a blend
Yes.
of different
Yes.
grape varieties. It is a wine that has gone through oak treatment, so it's not like very fruity. It actually has a lot of complexity. And so I would
Yeah.
ask you, for example, how do you like your coffee? You take coffee, sorry.
Black,
Do you take
no
coffee?
sugar. I
Black,
do
no
black,
sugar.
no sugar.
So again, you're very, I mean, you can handle strong bitter things, you know? And then no surprise that you
Yes.
can have that. What's your favorite food? I know you live in Diani now, so please be kind to
I
us
know.
who are not in
I
Diani.
know. Let me not throw it out there. No, okay, I love a lot of pastas and I love a lot of
Okay.
pastas that have chili, like olives, capers, chili, garlic. Yeah,
Okay. Creamy sauce, thick or light? Tomato based sauces.
creamy
Anyway,
sauces.
there's just flavor, flavor, flavor. So you want something that will talk to you, right? So I normally use the pilau analogy when I'm
Yes.
talking about again different tastes. So
Yeah.
there is just rice with water and salt, like plain rice.
Yeah,
Right?
boring.
Wali too. Like there's no
Yeah.
story there. It's just water, rice. Then maybe a graduation from that is what they call Pilaunjebu. Forgive me for using that analogy. So maybe they'll have onions and then they have like awaru and some veggies mixed.
Yeah.
Then someone else will use one great up from that is pilau masala. So they spices, but they're all ground up, and you can still sort of add other condiments like vegetables and meat to your dish. But in general, it's really still a mild flavor, but then it has some complexity. You're starting to see some
Yeah.
complexity.
Yeah.
And then there's the kind of pilau ya viungo, where your neighbor knows you're making pilau. Your house, every room will be covered in that pilau smell. Your hair
Yeah.
will smell of pilau. Like it's strong. And you have like
Yeah.
the cinnamon bark, you have the cardamom seeds, you have all that there. So
Yeah.
of course you can handle pilau, the super pilau. But then there's people
Yeah.
along that pilau. So wine is the same. If I want to make sort of just a basic wine, and basic I'm using again is a range, right? Then I
Yeah.
won't really add anything to it. I'll just have my grape juice and I'll ferment it and I'll have my wine. And I can bottle it, however, basically sell it for an entry level price. If
Yeah.
I use masala, I'm kind of thinking a lot higher. So maybe I'm not necessarily cooking everything, but I'm cooking part of it. It may be sparkling wine, something like that. So there's a bit of complexity and a bit of difference, and you could taste the difference. But I
Yeah.
guess it won't be like long lasting in your mouth. Then there's now those wines that have been made, to last a long time, the ones that you should keep in the cellar for long. But what it means that is there's enough complexity that can be discovered with time. So even if I drink it today, it may be too much for someone who likes light things. But if I like complex things, then I can take it. So now coming back to your question, I guess that's how you handle your palate. How does it taste?
Gotcha. Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So
No,
think of
that
pilau.
that was such a great breakdown of understanding, who you are and how complex of a wine, you would want it, or if it just has to be a simple wine. And so right now with the ladies that you have who work on your team, how long did it take for you guys to create that synergy? I know we're going to come back into that because I'll tell you about how for me the experience of how you broke down the wines. You started from was it okay, so wait a second, I'm trying to remember the whole
Oh,
experience. I
the
have to
rice.
think slowly.
Oh, the rice.
Yes,
Like plain
because
rice. Yeah.
no, it was the wines that you had for that
Oh, okay.
particular
The wines that we
wine
chose for that
tasting.
event. Okay, let me try and illustrate to the wines I have here. But then I know we
Yes,
try to
please.
mix, of course, we try to mix different styles, right? So I'm not sure whether you'll see
Okay.
this one is here. But
Let's
then,
see. Let me
of
put
course,
you in a. Let me put.
okay. So people go into the
Okay, go.
supermarkets. Okay, fine. You only to the top for now. Maybe I'll do that. Oops.
Yeah.
Okay, even from this, let me just start with this. From the
Okay.
tops of this bottles, if I ask you, what do I have in front of you? Possibly you'll be able to tell me something. You want to try?
You have a
Starting with this one.
bubbly.
This is a bubbly, right? So bubbly
That's a
means it
bubbly.
has, yes, so bubbly like sparkling wine. So in this
Yep.
particular case, the pink also tells you something that it's a rosé.
Yes.
It's a rosé
Yeah.
bubbly, right? So, and then the
Okay.
bliss nectar tells you that it's also sweet. Nectar is sweet. So that's a hint to what it is. But then
Okay.
any bottle, of course, with a crown, in this bottle shape is a sparkling wine. You know you should be very careful when you're opening it. You'll have, the top pick will open. These two
Yeah.
are what kind of wines?
Red.
Red wines, yeah? So,
Reds.
yes, they are both reds. So I have one which is a single varietal. It's
Oh, there you
that
go.
says DMS Dal Estate Private Collection
Okay.
2018, for example. It's a Pinot.
Oh,
Then I
okay.
have that one. 3K Play Warwick
Warwick.
Estate. Yes.
Okay.
Now, this is a blend, which means that there is more than one grape variety that has been used to make this one.
Okay.
And maybe that's why they call it 3K ladies, because maybe they're trying to represent sort of, the grapes are
Yeah.
ladies and stuff like that. So, of course, you wouldn't be able to know what kind of wine it is because it's not written there. But now this one is a Pinot Touch, so it's one single grape variety.
Just one. Okay.
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 Okay, well, it's a blend
That's
as
brilliant.
well. Sorry, it's a blend as well, but then, yeah. And then now we have this one, which is a white
Yep.
wine.
Yeah.
And then this is a French wine, and the French never write what the grape variety is, or rather, they rarely do. So,
Why?
in essence, for French wines, okay, then they have this whole naming protocol stuff. So,
Okay.
for this, the clue in whether this is, what grape variety is used here is that name, Macon Village.
Okay.
Right? That gives you a
Right.
clue about what grape variety it is. That's why I have a
Okay.
job, because that's what we teach in class. So generally speaking now, you want to give people the experience of these wines, and of course you want them to understand that there's different styles of wine, right? So
Yeah.
a bubbly, of course, has a different characteristic. And when you have bubblies, it's celebratory, it's an aperitif, like the first a welcome drink.
Yeah.
You can have it. I don't know, mimosas. I'm not a fan of mimosas, but you know what? You have to have mimosas. Fine, go ahead.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
see, so of course we had a bubbly for you because it's always, a great mood setter. It's nice, it's elegant, it's great to start. If I gave
Yeah.
you a red wine at the beginning, it would be kind of a pop. So typically speaking, when you're curating an experience, you want to start with the lighter wines and move on to sort of heavier wines towards the end. I
Okay.
know we had a rosé, and again, pink drinks, fast growing category. You can have them, of course, as a bubbly, or you could have them as a still wine, maybe without bubbles, like all the others. And
Yeah.
they're great. They're very versatile in terms of what you can pair with, but even just hot sunny day, nothing complex, just having fun, it's great to have.
Yeah.
Yeah? White wines typically are, for a winemaker, easier to make, and of course, they bring the money before the reds. So in
Yeah.
France in particular,
Yeah.
like champagne, let's take an example of champagne because it's very popular. There is no way you ever expect to find champagne in a bottle like this.
Of
Right?
course. Yeah. No.
And only what is made in champagne can be called champagne. Now, there's a rule about what grapes you use to make champagne that you cannot change. If you want to have that label, that's Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, of course, in different varieties and for different styles of liquor. So then, the French want you to know that champagne then is a blend of those two grapes, but they won't write them on the bottle. And the same with
Okay.
this one. So Burgundy is a region where Chardonnay is grown, and this Macon, like Macon Village, is one of the places where you have this. Now,
Okay.
because of the region, then I can be able to tell whether this wine has gone through any oak treatment or not in oak treatment. But I don't want to get too technical. It is made from
Yeah.
Chardonnay. It is from France,
Yeah.
right? That's what you have
Yeah.
there. Okay, so you can make straight one grape variety, and there's many grape varieties: Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, Chenin Blanc. We say this is a blend.
Yeah.
Again, Warwick Estate has a large portfolio of wines. The Three Cape Ladies is a blend of theirs, but they also have something called the First Lady. I like how they do their naming at Warwick. There's like the
Yeah.
First Lady, the White Lady, the Black Lady. I mean, they have all the ladies in every range. And then we have,
Love
of
it.
course, that. Sorry, I'll have to correct myself. This is also actually a blend. I thought I actually
It's a
had
blend.
picked a Pinotage, but it's also a blend of a few wines. And then now, this is Diambas Dal Estate. It's 2018
Yeah.
vintage. You can see the 2018. So this is
Yeah.
2017, right? So
Yeah.
the thing about the vintage, when people say it's a vintage wine, it means that it has a date on it. That date
It
is the
ha-
date the grapes were harvested.
so if it has 2017, if it just has 2017, so that was the year that it
The
was
grapes were
harvested.
harvested, yes. So
Okay.
2017, 2017, 2018. Typically, this
So
ones will not have a date on it.
I was going to ask you about the white wines because I think that's really important for people to also understand,
Yeah.
which I have now used, where I'm like, oh, let me see the bottle, let me see the date, because you don't want to take a bad white wine.
Yes.
Just talk a little bit about the dates, especially when it comes to white wines. You see, I learned a little bit.
Oh, you did. You did lovely. And the thing is we learn every day. Someone will ask me a
Yes.
question that I'll have to, sort of think about. So it's not like there's education that ever ends. Now,
Yes.
the date is important because of different things. So in essence, wine goes bad, right? So you want to drink it at its peak as much as possible. And typically, white wines, you should drink them within the first or second, within the first 3 years of vintage, right? And especially if they're unoaked wines, like wine that has not gone through any oak treatment,
Okay.
right? I have a 2017 here, so this is borderline, for example. Even though it's oaked, this is sort of year four, right? Because we're in
Yeah.
2021. Red wines then can last longer, but then the rule of thumb is always this: if there was if there wasn't any complexity at the beginning, keeping it
Mm,
longer will not change anything. Because
mm.
complexity, if it has high acidity, and it has high tannins, for example, in the case of red wines, then over time that changes. Like a dish you maybe cook today, or a porridge that ferments, there's complexity,
Yeah.
right? But fresh
Yeah.
porridge, is fresh porridge. Tomorrow it will just taste like 1 day old fresh porridge. There won't be the
Yeah.
complexity that you need. So then you have to be careful because otherwise, then what would an old white wine taste like vinegar? It will taste stale. It won't have any acidity, freshness. That crisp sort of freshness you have in your mouth. There won't be any of that.
Yeah.
Like just be flat like a flat coke. And we don't want you to be
That's
drinking those kinds of wines, for example. We want you to be drinking wines at their peak. The same with red wines. There
yeah.
are some red wines that really should also be drunk like fruity and oak red wines. Treat them like white wines. But then there's some, of course, that can last longer. So I guess the
Wow.
difficulty there is you need to know then what goes in to think about lasting. When someone tells me they have wine that they bought that's in the 5 liter box and they've had it for over a year, they open it in January, because that's the other thing. Once you open the wine, how long should you keep it?
Yes, that is a really good question. I mean, like,
Yeah.
because some
Yes.
people will want to keep it. Anyway, I
Okay,
say
so
good luck to those people keeping.
I use the pilot line in the unlikely event that you don't finish your bottle. And of course,
Yes.
wine is typically not drunk by one person alone. Typically, it's shared, and we know there's five. If you use the 150 measuring option, then there's 5 glasses in each bottle. So in
Yes.
essence, if you're a group of five, one bottle is gone, just by one glass, for example. And of course, we have to emphasize that people need to drink responsibly. So in essence,
Yes,
then,
please.
in the unlikely event that, say, this is halfway now, then I open this
Yeah.
and I've not been able, I think I opened it 3 days ago.
Mhm.
It is advisable to, of course, close it because, in essence, oxidation. You leave an apple out, it gets black. That's oxidation. The same with wine. So
Yeah.
close it, keep it in the fridge if you can. But again,
Okay.
drink it within 5 days. Don't keep it for 2 weeks or whatever it is. Yeah, drink it within 5 days. And the same with white wine as well. Here,
Wow.
you don't want to lose the bubbles because if you opened it, in essence, the bubbles are already escaping. So there's special
Yeah.
closures that you can for keeping to have that. But I'm like, who wants to keep a bottle of that? Like, share it and drink it
Exactly.
afterwards. Exactly. Yeah.
Everybody
And
needs.
of course,
Yeah.
and storage is very important. It has to be constant temperature, away from sunlight. You
Okay.
don't have it in the hottest place possible. Yeah. Otherwise, even with all those things, and even on this close place to stay fresh. Right? So there's so much to learn. There is so much to learn.
I
But then
know.
coming back to your question on the
Mhm.
how did we curate your experience? Sorry.
No, go for it. No, I'm loving how you're expanding
I
it
just
because now I'm also just like, oh, wait a second.
it's voluble. I'm so voluble. So the two ladies, Wanjiru and Wanjiru, it's actually interesting because they're both actually have gone through the courses, and of course, we've been working with them on a project by project basis for a long time. But they're brilliant, and that's the joy of this. If I can create more people in the industry who can do what I do, then I can sort of move on to other things. But there's so much talent, and of course, there's a way. Everybody has their signature in terms of how they can teach or talk about an experience. So I'm really glad the rave reviews. Wanjiro, Stephanie, they're hearing about this over and over again from the people they attended. But then
It is.
Wanjiro was
Yeah.
actually in the industry as a retail owner. So in
Ah.
2013, when I was busy trying to forge relationships and look for people in the industry, she
Yeah.
actually taught me a lot of what I know. In the sense of she was already running a wine retail business and yeah, even
Yeah.
distribution. And then
Wow.
she was one of the people of what sells, what doesn't sell, how do you handle XYZ. And then she came for the course and then, of course, has developed an interest to want to do better and get a professional qualifications. Stephanie actually is running a concierge company. So part of what her clients require is, of course, curation
An
and
experience, of
even though
course.
and experiences. So again, as much as she has worked for us, she has also now gone to develop her own kind of clientele to be able to do what she could. But then with practice, like anything, you find your style. There's a reason why you go to your hairdresser or that particular restaurant, or why we would come to your villa, right? So
Yeah.
what is that magic you bring to the experience? Because some people are very happy to, people think wine is very stiff and aspirational and have all these rules. No,
And
you
it's
let
not.
people.
No.
Do you like it? Do you like it? Don't you like it? Why? Some people say
Yeah.
it smells like a farmyard, and I don't like farmyards, which is okay. And some people, sometimes I have my own preconceived notions of what will do well in this environment, and then
Yeah.
people like the opposite thing. So that's the beauty of the discovery, and there's so much choice for everybody to enjoy what they want. That's
That
the
is
beauty with
true.
wine. You can pair it with anything. It's very versatile.
Yeah.
And we're so lucky that we're drinking the same stuff Jesus made.
I know. I mean, we're privileged to
It's
to
so
drink what
privileged.
Jesus had made. Um, I wanted to ask you if people wanted to book an experience with you, how could they get in touch? I want you, if you're listening, if you watch now or later, to book an experience with Wanjiro and her team because I have never met such passionate people, and
Yeah.
and I love the jokes that we were cracking together, because they were asking about our wine experiences, and we're just like, yeah, we've been there, we've done wine tastings, but we just never make it through, and we're always like far behind, or you get engaged with somebody else and talking with
Yeah.
someone else that you're not really paying attention. but it was so bespoke. It was exquisite. They spoke so eloquently. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I even challenged somebody
Wow.
here in Diani when they brought the bottle, and I was like, I don't think this is good wine. You need to change that. And he was like, oh, I'm going to call my suppliers right now. Thank you so much for bringing it up. And I was like, Quisha Mambo, there, good student. So,
Good student.
yeah.
No, I love it. That is the best. That is the best feedback. That is the best feedback. So
Yeah.
my public means of communication is at Wanjiru, like I've spelled it out, on Instagram or
Okay.
through Facebook. Yeah.
Okay. So, at
Unfortunately, we are
wine.
still working on our website. Yeah.
That's all right. I mean,
Wanjiru. Yeah.
okay. That's on IG and FB,
Yes.
right? Okay,
Yes,
perfect.
on
Okay.
both of them.
I'm
So
just
that's the most likely place to get a response quickly. Then based on that, then we can talk about different things. Now
okay.
for the professional courses, I am an educator that is attached to the Hospitality Competency Center of East Africa, HCC-EA.
Wait.
That has a website,
HCC hyphen
East Africa. So it's,
EA. Okay, sorry.
yeah,
Yeah.
Hospitality Competence Center, East Africa.
Uh-huh.
.com. Yes. So for the professional courses, meaning you do a
Yeah.
course and you have to do an exam, and it's a sort of a global exam. It's sort of one of the standards for wine professionals. Wine Spirits and Education Trust is a UK-based body. So we launched together with HCCA. We were able to start the courses here in 2018. There's 4 levels in total, but then in Kenya we only do 2. Level 1 is sort of the introductory level. It's basic. And then level 2 is the intermediary level. I think with those 2, you will be able to, in essence, handle your job well in the hospitality sector. Or if you're a wine enthusiast who just wants to, increase their knowledge. So the dates for the courses are on the website, and all the information about payment options and sort of what exactly you learn from both. But the
Okay.
differentiator is, like the course, the CPA course. You don't become an accountant, a certified public accountant when you do section 1.
Yeah.
You become a certified public accountant when you do section 6 and you have passed all 3. So the same way,
Yeah.
WSET has those graduated levels, right? So
Yeah.
level 1 is basically what is wine. You focus on the main grape varieties, and that's it. Level 2 then goes into wines, the sort of the premium wines of the world, the premium growing regions, and you talk about sort of the grape varieties, but then you talk about other named wines like Italian wines, Pinotage wines, and the like. Level 3 and 4 are not currently available in the country. Should I pause?
No, I'm still
So
here. I'm with you.
level 3 and 4 are not available currently in the country. But then to be an educator
Yeah.
like myself, which is what I'm hoping a lot of people will become, you have to pass then level 3, which is sort of now, instead of just talking about the premium growing areas, you actually delve down into in this
I have
region.
to. Just give me 1 second. I just had
No
somebody.
problem.
Sorry.
It happens all the time.
Did I just
Should have a glass.
Sorry. Someone's phone was. Sorry about that. Someone's phone was
No
ringing.
problem. Okay.
Didn't realize. Okay.
So to
So
become an educator,
yes.
you have to do between level 1 and 2, by the way, both of them can be joined at any time. You don't need prior experience to do any of those. But to be an educator, you have to do your level 3, meaning you have to do level 2. And then after getting your level 3 qualification, you do train the trainer kind of. You do an educator exam.
Oh wow.
Then now you get licensed to be able to provide the qualification. So because at the time I was doing my qualifications, there was none available in Kenya, I had to go to South Africa, and do all, for my educator course, I had to go to the UK, but thank God nobody has to do that now. You can get your level 2 here, It is priced competitively compared to anywhere else in the world. Of course, there are guidelines in terms of the books cost X, the exam cost X. So we have to align ourselves with the world. But at least we
Yeah.
save you the trouble of getting a visa, getting onto a plane, going into an environment perhaps that you're not familiar with. Because I realize that we have to localize the language in a way people understand. If I use the Pilawa example in South Africa, everybody will be looking at me like, what do you mean? But here people understand it, right? People understand.
Yeah.
There's your phone again.
Yeah.
Your phone is on again.
It's not mine, but
Yeah, sorry, man. Yeah, but
so
then over
go
and
ahead.
above, over and above
Uh-huh.
the Wines and Space Education Trust courses that, of course, like I told you, can book on the HCCBA website. Other institutions are also doing their own wine courses. For example, BOMA has a short course that's sort of basic wine and pairing that's available information on their website as well. The importers also train a lot of the trade themselves because if I wanted to
Yeah.
list my wine, I have to come and train you to be able to sell it. So there's that going on as well. But then I
Yeah.
feel people, I think we just need to give people confidence. It's like people are so easy selling beer, selling whiskey. Then when it comes to wine, everybody's like,
Yeah.
and
Everyone
yet,
feels that it's elitist or something of the sort, yet
or
it's
something like
not.
that. No. Like I said, if you really literally regurgitate what's on the label, half the work is done. But I guess now, if you don't know where Stellenbosch is, of course, then I'd have to paint a picture for you. What is Stellenbosch about? That's when I say there's tea grown in Kirinyaga, like at
Yeah.
Kanjeta Tea Factory, and there's tea grown in Kisii and in Limuru.
Yes.
So one is just Limuru tea, one is Kericho tea, the other one is Kanjeta tea. That's really the basics. But then now, if you paint that picture in someone's mind that way, and they're like, oh, okay, dear Mr. Sawa, I understand, right? I understand the
Right.
worry of Stellenbosch or the different regions. But then you have to bring it home. When I say, for example, when you're tasting and you have to smell the wine, what aromas are you smelling? Even oak, for example. Oak, because we use it so often, it sounds like it's universal, but it isn't. Because what is
No, it's
oak?
not.
I've never seen have I seen an oak tree before? Do I know what an oak barrel looks like? But then if I talk about perhaps wood or a carpenter or my
Yeah.
grandmother's wooden house where the kitchen used to be with the three-stone fire,
Yeah.
or I say Karura forest, people then understand I'm talking about earthy eucalyptus smells, wood. Then I ask you,
Yeah.
and even fruits, I can ask you, okay, you're talking about apple. Is it a green apple or a red apple? Is it a ripe apple? Is it cooked? Is it like crunchy raw? So there's the differences there.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
And I tell people, don't look for the right answer. Tell me what you think. So someone was like, we're talking about black currant, and they said, oh, Ribena. And I'm like, yeah, Ribena. Because that's a representation of black currant we know. I have never seen a black
Exactly.
currant necessarily, but I can tell Ribena. Oh, I know Ribena. Or like
Yeah.
candy floss, you know? Cotton candy, or
Exactly.
what they call it, that thing.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to bring it down to people. Yeah. So when I say Karura Forest in a rainy day, hopefully that does something. Or my grandmother's house with the smoke, you know, with the three-stone fire. That brings it home. Freshly cut
Yeah.
grass. We used to build houses with grass. You
Yes.
understand, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
even that
Yeah.
whole, if you're saying there's mango, is it a Mombasa mango that's ripe and juicy? Or is it a Kirinyanga mango that's kind of hard, but you have to put salt to make it
Yeah.
palatable,
Yeah.
right? And then now, even with the food and wine pairing, the foods, so I'll be honest, if you see me drinking and eating wine and having wine in a restaurant, typically speaking, it's a work-related something. That's not my everyday life. That's not what I do, right? I'm typically
Yeah.
drinking at home, having what I eat at home. So ugali and skuma, right? But you never see that on a pairing menu. But then that's what I'm eating today. So what do I have with that? Matoke with peanut sauce
Yeah.
or chapati and dengu, you know? So I realized
Yeah.
then, I mean, this wine combination went really well, but I need to be able to talk about this wine pairings more often than champagne and oysters, Cabernet Sauvignon and filet mignon. You know,
Yeah,
how
yeah.
do I make sure what you're eating? You're in Diani. There's a lot of pueza soup.
Yes, there
Or there's
is.
what barbecued prawns, or I don't know.
Yeah,
Basil
your
and mahamri.
lobsters.
You
Mm-hmm.
know. So as
I
much as
just
there's a
had,
whole lobster thing
yeah.
going,
Go ahead. I almost cut you
yeah.
off. Sorry.
No. I'm just saying that again. You have to bring it down so people understand. And if I understand the reason why I'm pairing hectic, flavorful matumbo with a
Mm,
heavy, sort of more complex wine because the two have to match, then I'm not just telling you red wine with red meat. No, I'm telling you the flavor needs to match, the complexity
yeah,
needs to match. Think of a
it does.
complex dish. There's nothing more complex than matumbo. The smell, the taste,
Yeah,
too
no,
much. It's a lot, right? But that was a
that's
Shiraz. A
yeah,
full-blooded Shiraz is magic in heaven. Even that whole
yeah,
Vaseline layer of the fat of the matumbo melts like in your mouth.
like
And if
butter.
I'm having like butter, if I'm having sushi, I shouldn't then match it with the same heavy red wine. Perhaps that's
Mm,
where perhaps uh, a light-bodied wine like Sauvignon Blanc with high acidity, then no, you're able to
yeah,
match the whole delicate flavor of the raw fish, for example.
yeah. You know,
And I feel it's yeah.
I feel like in order for people to have really a full experience of even getting or grasping the wines and the pairings, you have to experience. You have to
You have to
experience you
go buy
guys.
a bottle, taste it, like it or not. Yeah. Before you even get to
Exactly.
us. In the
Oh,
supermarket now,
uh-huh.
there's wines, there's so much wines available within even that under 1,500 price range, right?
Yeah.
That you can try and yeah, like or not like.
Yeah.
Don't even be very complicated about it. By the time of booking the experience with us, of course, we take you to the next level. We move you from Pilaunjeri.
Ah,
We move you to Pilau ya Viungo.
yes,
Then, it
exactly.
makes it more, yeah. But then at the end of the day, we drink wine to enjoy. We don't drink wine to study and have some,
Yeah. But it's always
educated
good to
opinion
know
about it.
but it's always good to know what you should like or what you like. And that's the part where where we're no longer, we don't do box wines because that was like uni days, and we don't do, now we've stopped the gato negs, as we call it. We even butchered its name, which is so terrible. But I mean, like, well, the thing is that every once in a while you want to have a wine, and either, and I want to say this, like, maybe even since last year, 2020, is you want to have a glass of wine and celebrate life as it is, and why not?
Sure,
you know
sure.
I have
Yes.
a quick question for you. Do you think that people who are in hospitality, like owners who are in the hospitality industry or tourism sector, should undergo your courses with HCC?
Oh, definitely. I mean, if first and foremost,
Yeah.
okay, first, if I may just come in before I start on the answer to this question, anybody who's drinking wine is my friend. Anybody. Whether they're drinking it from a cardboard box, because they already like wine, so they're already sort of within the family. So we can
Yeah.
move them around, but at least they're sold already to us. So anybody who drinks wine is my friend. Whatever brand you drink, whatever style you drink, we love you for it.
Yeah.
Because once you're in, it's easier to move. We're not stealing you from another category. It is important
Mm,
for hospitality people to know that. And I
yeah.
think the big unexploited opportunity in our market, Kenya specifically, and I guess when in the region, is wine is not a standalone in any establishment. It's always sort
Yeah.
of part of something. It's not,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few wine bars, very specific wine bars coming up lately that are sort of
Yeah.
focused on wine alone. But somehow I find if you go to a bar, generally speaking,
Yeah.
there'll be all sorts of whiskeys, all sorts of beer, all sorts of, and then some wines, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I love, I mean, my love for Sierra is known because they're a wine focused restaurant, for example, right?
Yes.
I mean, the wine list is really part of it, which is ironical because, I mean, they have a brewery as well, for example.
Yeah.
Sierra
Yeah.
Beer was here before the wine business, but it's
Yeah.
the one place that I think has, for example, done a lot for, wine lovers in general, because again, the pricing, the variety, and there are some wines I tasted there for the first time that I had never tasted before, even when I lived in South Africa. And
Yeah.
you make a random post on Instagram, and the producer contacts you and says that wine is available in Kenya. How? You know,
Wow. Yeah. So they
because
went
again,
down themselves. Yeah.
someone actually decided wine can be a cost center. It's a business in itself for me to actually provide that, even if I have a restaurant connected to it. And I think there's more that could be done for that, where
Yeah.
even wine experts are being paid top dollar. Sommeliers earn as much as executive chefs earn in mature markets.
Yeah.
You have executive chef so and you have sommelier so and so. It's not like
Yeah.
the bottom of the pyramid, or where wine
Yeah.
is just part of the food and beverage department. So we've had many
Yeah.
discussions with people in the industry, and it's a constant, how can we make this profession more respectable? In
Yeah.
fact, now in retrospect, if I, as a Kirinyaga person, had focused on tea and coffee, probably I'd be earning more, right? Because tea and coffee
Yeah.
tasters are top dollar people, you know. And here I
Yeah.
am. I went to look for something that wasn't even from home. And maybe
Yeah.
this is another area that needs to grow. We need local production to grow. I'm in
Yeah.
marvel at what the Lesho has done. And I mean it has
Yeah.
taken them time to get to where they are. And there's so much more they can do as well. We need more Leshos in the country. As much as we
That
need
we
more
do.
sommeliers. Yeah, but even
Yeah.
as we have more sommeliers, at least we can export them if they're too many to be here. We can export doctors and
Exactly.
other professions. But then I know that I mean I'm so happy about how you're talking about Wanjiru and Wangoi, like they changed your lives that day. Because sometimes the impression you get is, oh, you do wine. Okay. Like for real, like for a living. Like umekosa kitu ya kufanya. Like that's the kind of sometimes the kind of thing. It's more respectable for me to say I'm an F&B manager at so and so.
Yeah. Well, I
Because
mean,
wine can't be.
I just, yeah, mine is just to encourage people, get a small group of people who you absolutely love to sit with and talk with, enjoy with, who respect you and you respect them back, because that's how the experience is. It's such, yeah, it's, it's an amazing, I have nothing better than, like to tell people, like spread the word on how great you guys are. And just that experience, I was like, I have to interview them. And I'm going to be
Awesome.
seeing you soon, right?
Yes, we are. We have this big milestone to celebrate. But then the other thing that perhaps needs to go with this virtual tasting idea, and I know we're not able to do that today. I hope we'll be able to do that the next time we meet, where we
Yeah.
can actually have people buy the wine and then go through the experience over a platform like this and enjoy. But yeah,
Well,
this is great. Let people enjoy
let
wine more, and
let's curate it. I can invite 6 people, and we could do it live, if my friends are not too whatever. Or actually, we could host it as a different party off the grid. But yeah, we'll chat. You and I will chat about it. But for everybody else, I want to say thank you. We're up to the top of the hour. It feels like we've been on news. We're at the top of the hour. So I'm gonna say, I, I feel like I want to take the HCCEA course, and anyway, I'll reach out to
awesome.
you about that. But I do think that, if you are a restaurateur, an entrepreneur who's in the hospitality business, just because you have to elevate your business nowadays, everybody is looking for an experience. They're not just looking just to, you're not just putting chips and sausage on the plate because it's available, but now everybody wants it to, it has to mean something. It carries weight
Yeah.
knowing. So, maybe give him a try. And right here, you could check her out. It's Wanjiru, and that's on Instagram and on Facebook. Or for those who are, now want to elevate a little bit, it maybe HCCEA, check out the website. And yeah, do the first 2 courses and then see where that leaves you. How long does a course take?
Well, level 1 is 1 day, and you do the exam on the same day. They literally say 6 hours guided tuition, and then you do the exam that day. The exams are multiple choice. I know, I get that all the time. The exams are multiple choice,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, the teacher is really great, so you're definitely going to pass.
Okay, I'm
Level 2,
excited. Mm.
level 2 is 2 days, but then now that's 16 hours guided learning. But then there's a lot of self-study you have to do before class, and then we give you some time before the exam. So level 2 is a
Okay.
different level of kettle of fish, but the exam is also still multiple choice. Like I say, the teacher is great. So in Kenya, we have broken the record on both, with people getting 100% in both. The exam is not marked in Kenya, it's marked in the UK. The exam, I have nothing to do with setting the exams. They come from the UK, but then Kenya has topped. We have people who have topped both, 100%. Funny, funny.
Wow.
Yeah, like I
Wow.
say, the teacher is
Yeah.
great. The teacher is amazing.
The teacher is the one. I feel like it's about the teacher. It's how she teaches.
It's how she
Well,
teaches, and we need more teachers like you to come and join us.
oh, my darling, thank you. I'm going to see you very soon. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
this. I know that I've seen my friends out there having wines and stuff like that. And this is for you. This is my gift for this coming weekend is go pick up a nice bottle of wine and, you know, book a wine tasting, social distance kidogo, yeah. So like in fact when you
Yes.
keep it nice and light, as opposed to like a big crowd of people where you're speaking to like 30 guys, for me, no wonder we always got lost. But when you're talking one on one and you've got 6 people, everyone's
Yeah.
contributing, that is the
Not more than
beauty.
10. Yeah.
Not
Not
more
more
than
than 10.
10. Yeah.
And again, you want to be able to manage and give quality. And then the timing is also very important. If you push anything beyond an hour and a half of the content per se,
Yeah.
as much as we do it as edutainment, you know,
It
by the
goes a
third
little bit
class,
beyond.
guys,
Yeah.
you have to be careful how you control the crowd.
Yeah.
But you guys were an amazing audience, and I'm so happy for the feedback you've given us. I know Wanjiru and Wangui will be so happy.
Please pass my love to them. Tell them I had an excellent time. It was so beautiful. And my one man band, that's the guy, that's the one man band. If I'm going to tell you to buy a red wine, guys, it's called One Man Band. It retails at about 4,800. You see how I know so much, but it's good. It is good. Wanjiru, thank you so much. You've been absolutely fantastic. You're such a
Thank
blessing.
you.
I can't wait to see you on Tuesday. Um, Big kiss.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you. All the best.
All right. See you, everybody. Remember to subscribe to Into the Core podcast. Get your wine experience, your wine tasting experience at Wanjiru on IG, on Facebook. For those who are really serious about it, let's go to the HCCEA website. We hear that the teacher is amazing, so we'll get 100%. Surely. What's the problem, guys? Let's do this. See you, Wanjiru. Have a beautiful rest of the week.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao.